everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to try something new out, maybe outside the realm of marathon just a little bit, but I thought, hey, I enjoy yapping about stuff on the internet, specifically around the world of video games, so I thought maybe I would try my hand at maybe doing a weekly kind of video just talking about interesting video game news, articles, stuff that I was kind of compelled to talk about over the past week, and so I thought I would try that today. And today is Friday, January 31st. We've reached the end of January. It was a pretty packed month in terms of news that we got from very various kind of corners of the video game world. So thought go through, pick my stuff from the week that I thought was most relevant, and share a few of my thoughts about it. And it'll probably be going up on Sunday, so if something crazy happens this weekend, I missed that. But these are just a few things in my small world that I thought were relevant, and I want to talk about. So the first thing I wanted to jump into is Destiny 2. Obviously, the kind of Heresy, what would you call it, developer live stream here was this week. I actually watched it all the way through. I was doing some stuff, but I had it on in the background. Obviously, if you've seen my channel at all, you understand I'm pretty much like a Destiny blueberry, I believe is the term. I'm very much so a noob in the Destiny world, which is funny to me as someone who's like not super familiar getting into Destiny over the past few months, just because I have played Destiny 1 and 2. I've played Destiny 1 and 2, what I feel like was, quite a bit at the time. I basically played through both the games on release with the initial campaigns and maybe that very like first kind of content drop for both of them. So I went through that. And prior to getting back into Destiny 2, I'd say really at the beginning of last year, I got Lightfall and I played through that campaign, but it really wasn't until kind of the end of 2024 when I started doing the community raid events that I started maybe fully understanding the scope of the game and understanding how all the menus work and stuff like that. So this is kind of the first Destiny 2, live release thing. I mean, obviously I was aware of the final shape as was occurring, but in terms of like having a decent understanding of kind of how things work, this is my first kind of big content drop that I'm witnessing or seeing in real time. I'll start by saying that the idea of like a roguelike kind of situation going on where we're entering into instances as a fire team and picking up upgrades looks sick. I mean, Hades and the Binding of Isaac, I've dumped a ton of time into. I love that format. I think it's super rad to see it coming over in this kind of first-person thing. I know there was a PlayStation game that I'm drawing a blank on the name of that was like a third-person shooter that was kind of like a roguelike kind of thing. I enjoy that genre. I think it's cool to see it pop up in Destiny, and I would love to dive into it. A few things, like I said, as being a blueberry, and this stream has 200,000 views on it, so maybe that's 200,000 people who are 100% tapped into Destiny, right? Maybe my perception of this is off, and I'm part of like a very, very small group of people, but nowhere in this stream did they say how much Heresy costs, if it costs money. They didn't say where you can buy it. These might be, I'm not saying that these are complaints, but maybe I'm just approaching it as someone who's like, I want to get into Destiny, and maybe Bungie wants people, to get into Destiny, or people who are more casual, maybe just like, hey, I enjoy the game, I like the mechanics of it, I like the feel of it, I like playing with my friends, but I'm not tapped into every intricacy of how these things work. And what I will say is, like I said, I had it on the background, but I was listening pretty good. Like I focused and was trying to understand what was going to be happening in this episode, and I never learned how much it costs. From what I recall, I never learned where to purchase it, or even if it is. I mean, like, is it free content? I don't know. These are questions that I could answer, but I'm just saying, as like a casual consumer who likes Destiny and wants to play more of it, I didn't get it from this live stream, and so my recourse was to come over to Bungie.net and read the kind of This Week in Destiny article, which I'm very familiar that people kind of follow these and track these from my understanding. And man, I was reading through this and I was like, this is huge. This is long. Like, maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe I'm reading multiple weeks, but then I'm like, oh no, this is like the stuff they just revealed. Oh, I love the tentacle shit, by the way. Cthulhu-esque, Lovecraftian space tentacle monsters. Oh, I fucking love that shit. Bloodborne. This is a great vibe, is what I'm saying, just as a side note. So man, I'm reading through, I'm trying to see all this. I'm like, okay, some reprise sets. Doesn't really mean anything to me because obviously I wasn't, playing the game heavily when these were coming out. I have done the Vault of Glass raid, which is pretty cool. So I'm stoked that this kind of stuff is popping up. And I guess craftable weapons are the weapons from Vault of Glass are maybe now going to be craftable. Don't really know what it means. I'm not like an in-game super hardcore player, but it's cool. I'm beginning to recognize things. And man, I'm going through this and I'm like, where does it say how much it costs? Where does it say how to buy it? Now, maybe this is like stupid. Like I said, it could just be a very specific situation to just me. But I just feel like if this game was just, I don't know, a few very basic, convenience things were made a little bit easier. Like, hey, we're going to just reference where you pick it up at some point in the video or in the article. I don't know. I think it'd make it more accessible. Basically, I'm excited for the tentacle shit if I get to run around. And it seems like this is a repurposed location, I guess, potentially from Destiny 1 or maybe it's Destiny 2. I don't really know. It seems cool, so everything's going to be new to me. But doing the roguelike thing seems really awesome. The big thing, maybe I scrolled by it up here, was the Star Wars crossover. And at first, I'm like, oh, this is cringe. But I will say, man, the hunter skin it's kind of growing on me. Another thing that, like, I don't know where you purchase that. I've never bought, like, an armor. Like, do you just buy it with real money and then it goes, what's, like, the power level for it? I don't know. I wish they would have, like, literally just had a throwaway line in there explaining how you get it, how much it costs, how long it runs kind of thing. But then again, maybe that's just for, like I said, a very small group of people that it doesn't apply to because everybody watching these things are people who've been playing it for a decade now. But I am excited. I think everything looks cool. The art direction, as usual, looks rad. And I would love to jump in and try this kind of roguelike mode and picking up stuff like that. Oh, yeah. And just to even make my point a little bit more, what I did when I was reading through this article is I did this like even earlier, but I had to like open this up just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind and just see it's a 5,000 word This Week in Destiny, and there's no TLDR. There's no like, hey, here's the general gist. Which, like I said, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that maybe it would be a little bit easier to jump into some of this stuff if we could, provide a more concise version of the information. Although I, as somebody who has 4.5 hour long videos on my channel, and right now I'm yapping for probably a ridiculous amount of time about these things, get it. I'm not saying I'm the best at being concise either, but I would love to see a more condensed, digestible version of information when it comes to Destiny 2, just so I understand what's going on. The next thing I want to talk about is Dune Awakening. Man, I've talked about it on stream before, but Dune and Dune Messiah, the first two books in the Dune series written by Frank Herbert, are fantastic. I don't even know if there's, in terms of like building a world and then you're reading a story and you feel like you're inside of that world, there's not a lot of comparable things. I'm sure like the big comparison would be like Lord of the Rings, which obviously, does that exceedingly well and almost feels like kind of an origin point for this modern context of world building when you hear about it. But man, Dune, and you have these kind of intercut sections of writings from Prince Irulan, who is like a character in the book, but these are writings from her book, and in the context that adds to the story about how these events are seen in the future and what it reveals to you in that moment. And then it's juxtaposed right next to the internal complex dialogue of somebody having a multi-layered conversation and the very nuanced things that they're doing to indicate certain meaning to the people around them, and then also how they feel about it personally. And you're getting that from a bunch of different perspectives. Dune's awesome, is what I'm saying. And obviously, if you're a Dune fan, it's been a pretty good time to be a Dune fan over the past year. Obviously, we got Dune Part 2, which was rad. Timothée Chalamet, this dude is just like, is he like one of the most talented people alive? I almost feel like it's kind of unfair. Now you see him, he's performing Bob Dylan songs on Saturday Night Live. And it's like, he's pretty good at that too. But Dune 2 was incredible. Denis Villeneuve, the director, probably just butchered that name, is amazing. Everything he does is super rad. And man, this game I just think is capturing the art direction of the films in a really cool way, while also like kind of carving out something that's very specific to them, but seeing the ornithopters and everything. The big thing that I saw this week about Dune Awakening, which is this upcoming MMO / survival game, Funcom, I believe is people making it, is that a bunch of people got access to play a few hours of it, basically those intro stages, and they shared their thoughts on it. Kind of like the general gist that I got. I watched a few longer videos of people describing their experience. It seems way more of like a survival game than I had previously thought. I thought that the survival elements were going to be very much so like contributing factors to an MMO game as opposed to like a survival game with MMO features, which from what I saw seems to be more the case. There's like some pretty heavy like just surviving on Arrakis stuff about like dealing with your body temperature and making sure you have enough water, which is cool, and obviously like a huge carryover from the books and the films and the world of Dune as a whole. So it's cool to see it coming over. But what I will say is that I kind of wasn't expecting as much of that survival clunkiness, which if you've ever farted around in a survival game, you kind of know what I'm talking about. I've seen a few things. Some of the combat gameplay doesn't look super satisfying to me. Some of the traversal movement stuff looks a little wonky, but the caveat is that, hey, there's gonna be a little bit of wonkiness when you have this kind of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild movement system, where if you have stamina, you can basically climb up any wall or object that you see, which introduces a whole new kind of dynamic way to engage with the game. So I'm very excited for this game. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I'm very excited to play it, and I want to see kind of how it evolves, and I'm very interested to see how the kind of community aspect of it, that shared space, ends up working. And I had seen a interview with one of the developers, maybe Pirate Software had done one, and the developer was talking about how kind of the Badlands of Arrakis, the uncharted areas controlled by Fremen and worms, are going to be kind of contested, and that there will be like a weekly or monthly kind of wipe situation where a giant storm will come through and destroy everything. But going out there and mapping out where all the valuable resources are after that wipe and building different structures and getting spice and stuff is going to be like a really cool kind of community free zone that's really dependent upon kind of player interaction to advance, individual narratives between other guilds or clans or players and stuff. And I'm really excited to see how stuff like that plays out. I love these kind of like grand concept style games, and the fact that it's in the Dune universe. And this article from IGN kind of talks about how it seems like there's a very profound respect for Frank Herbert and the Dune franchise as a whole. So I will definitely be pumped, be running around as a Fremen. I think that can be one of your starting. I think you'd be House Atreides, maybe House Harkonnen, and then also Fremen, I think is what I had heard. So I'll definitely be going the route of the Fremen warrior. And also, they had this video that I wanted to show you guys.
Including your clothes.
About when the worm eats you, you lose everything. Check this out. See, this is some of the survival stuff that I think says there's a little bit of that jankiness where you just fall down. But like all of your items that you had on you are completely gone. So that's one of those like kind of survival game mechanics that I didn't think would be as heavy, but I'm open to kind of seeing how it plays. Obviously, they've kind of built everything around this, and all the trailers and stuff that we've seen for the game look sick. So yeah, I'm super excited. All right, next thing. I saw that a bunch of the Dragon Age developers had gotten laid off, and they're no longer working at BioWare. Obviously, if you have watched some of my streams, I think the State of Play stream, and then for the last one, and I believe the Summer Games Fest stream featured Dragon Age, the Veilguard trailers. Neither one of them kind of blew my mind. I don't know. I believe Dragon Age, the Veilguard was the trailer where it was like, what's better than one dragon? 2 dragons. That was kind of my takeaway from that I remember. I've never really gotten into the Dragon Age games, but I love BioWare as a developer, and especially Mass Effect, which I played through Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 on release. Like, I want to say I may have 100% completed Mass Effect 1 with all the DLCs and everything. Mass Effect 2 was incredible. I really loved it. I didn't like 100% or anything, but spent a lot of time playing those 2 games. Even doing the Mass Effect 2, the shitty scanning the worlds to try to get elements or mine or whatever, get your ores up and stuff. I spent a lot of time even doing the silly stuff like that, and I really obviously enjoyed building out the crew and all the kind of dynamics that went into that. Romancing your favorite character has always been fun. Mass Effect has been a blast. So it's interesting to see that it seems like the response to Dragon Age of Veilguard maybe wasn't super hot. But then again, I've read things that said that it made a lot of money and sold really well. But I don't know if that means it met expectations, because it seems like the expectations put on AAA games at this point are so like profoundly crazy. I don't know if it met that. But my perception was that Dragon Age of Veilguard wasn't like a huge hit necessarily, but not necessarily that was a bad game. Just not something that was really up my alley. And so I was very excited to see this. This was from yesterday on January 30th, talking about how these Dragon Age developers who got laid off have revealed that BioWare is kind of putting the mass of their employees on whatever the next, no pun intended, Mass Effect game is going to be. Which, another game that I played Mass Effect 3. Okay, I will say this. I played Mass Effect 3, but I never beat it. I don't know why. I just could not get into it. I kind of have this thing, I feel like, where, especially with RPGs, I'll play the first and the second one and love them, jump a ton of time. And then with the third one, same thing happened to me with The Witcher, which I've talked about before. I don't know. I can't close it out. It doesn't hold me that far. It doesn't hold me all the way through. But I also played, partially, just a little bit of Mass Effect Andromeda, which I think for all the reasons that everyone else has said is kind of something I agree on was a mess. That game, to me, just didn't look like Mass Effect. It didn't feel like Mass Effect. The dialogue was very strange to me. I don't know. It just a weird experience. Didn't feel good. I didn't like it. And I basically put it down maybe after that second mission, kind of when you first open up and you start getting side quests. Once I did a side quest or two and I realized, like, okay, this is about the level that this is going to be showing you in terms of how the narrative and other story stuff is going to play out. I was like, I'm just not interested. But I wasn't like, I guess, fully aware that they were kind of really kicking into gear on building the next Mass Effect project. And I'm interested to see what they do. I almost think like in, a modern time, I feel like big space adventure games, RPG games have really burned people. Maybe just big sci-fi RPGs. Some of them I'm going to throw out have been fixed. Like obviously Cyberpunk. I was one of those people who was really excited for Cyberpunk, and then all the stuff around Cyberpunk's launch. Went back a year later, really liked it. But another one of those things where it's like at that point, I'd moved on. I was playing other games, and I never got around to beating that either. But I probably will go back and finish Cyberpunk. But Cyberpunk was kind of the big one that comes to mind. Obviously, Mass Effect Andromeda kind of had a similar situation. I don't know. I just feel like if you want to enter into the world of these kind of single-player RPG, story-driven sci-fi games now, I almost feel like you have to take one of these kind of grander approaches, like we're talking about with Dune Awakening, or like they've done with No Man's Sky. This is a game that I was thinking of. I had to Google it really quick. So, but No Man's Sky was another one where I was like, man, I'm super excited about it. This big kind of like open world experience. I was kind of looking at that as a big grand space adventure. Huge bummer upon release. But yeah, I almost feel like you just have to take this kind of way crazier approach. You have to make it like an MMO, or you have to make it like have survival mechanics, or you have to make the world super big. Another one, Starfield. I was super excited about Starfield, which maybe did try to do some of that big stuff, but they didn't go all the way. Not the planet wasn't fully explorable, and the areas that were very barren. It wasn't like any star you can go to, even though there were like a lot of locations. I don't know. Like, what does a Mass Effect in 2027 or 2026 look like? What new approach do they take to Mass Effect that's going to make it better than kind of the Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 remasters that came out, I want to say a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, which looked really great. I don't know. But I am excited to see it, and I wonder, almost maybe Summer Games Fest, we start to get like a teaser trailer or something for this next Mass Effect. Could be cool. And then the last thing I want to talk about, I got into the Elden Ring NeightReign playtest. And if you guys watched my Game Awards stream, you'll know that I was pretty soft on it, like in terms of my initial reaction. I am a huge From Software fan. I've beaten every FromSoft game except for, well, hold on, I'm not talking about Kane's Field or King's Quest or whatever. Not past that. But basically from Demon Souls, I think the only one I haven't beat is Dark Souls 2. I actually don't know if I ever beat, is it Genichiro whoever the last boss, no, Genichiro's not the last boss. I don't know if I ever beat the last boss in Sekiro, but I've 100%ed like Dark Souls 1, Elden Ring. I played a ton of Armored Core, like very much so a huge From Software fan. And after playing Shadow of the Erdtree last year, my takeaway was that I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of burnt out on Souls-likes. And while this is not like a traditional Souls-like, this is kind of like a roguelike style adventure where you it's very like co-op oriented, with you have three people enter into a match and you do like a series of combat encounters, and your progression is kind of built around that 3-day period where you're doing the encounters and upgrading your armor and maybe your levels, and then you kind of have this big boss fight in the end with the 3 of you guys. And it seems a lot more like movement oriented. There's like a lot of crazy stuff going on, people flying through the air. But even still, even though that's kind of like stepping away from maybe the traditional Souls-like thing that I was burnt out on after Shadow of the Erdtree, I wasn't super hyped for it. I like, a lot of people were very excited, like, oh, the Nameless Cane popped up. You know, a lot of these kind of reused assets from Elden Ring and other Dark Souls games, and they kind of expanded on that in some sort of written piece that they had put out after that reveal trailer at the Game Awards, that even said, like, yeah, like the Night Cane or Night, I forget what is it, maybe NeightReign, I don't know what the guy was called. The big bad guy from this game is bringing in people from other universes. So people from like Demon Souls and Dark Souls and stuff or bosses from there are gonna pop up as these kind of entities of evil that you have to fight against or whatever. Nonetheless, I did sign up for the beta test because, like I said, I've played all the other FromSoft games. I'm a huge fan, and I got in. So I'm going to be trying it out. And like I said, I'm coming at it from a perspective of, like, I'm not super hyped for another Elden Ring thing. I don't want to play Elden Ring 2. Elden Ring 1 is enough for me. And I loved Elden Ring. Like I said, 100% completed Elden Ring. Really great game. Shadow of the Erdtree was cool. I'm just burnt out on it, I think. But maybe this is the evolution that FromSoft needs to keep people like me who've really grinded a ton of their games on board. So I am going to be playing the network test to check it out. I'll probably be doing that on stream. And here's the schedule. I don't know which one I'm going to do. I might do this really early. For me, that's going to be like midnight, February 14th one. I might do that time slot. Probably for sure going to be the 16th time slots I'll do as well. The 15th is when we're doing our next community raid day. If you're interested in being a part of the next community raid event, please join the Discord. Ace Traveler, who's been the Sherpa for all our other community raids, is now like taking a much bigger lead in putting those together. And he's putting a lot of effort into it, and it's been super helpful. And if you want to play Destiny with us, he's running raids like kind of at other points as well, and other community events. So it is always a fun time. But so on February 15th, I'm going to be doing that. So I'm probably not going to be playing any of this unless I jump on early in the morning just to check it out beforehand. But definitely February 14th or the 16th, I'll probably be doing a stream where kind of play this NeightReign thing and share my thoughts. So I'm pretty excited, but like I said, we'll see. I don't know. It's going to definitely be weird. It's definitely going to be weird to be running around a FromSoft world in the context that they've shown us from the trailer of NeightReign. But maybe that'll be cool. Maybe that'll be really cool. And like I said, something to spice up the Souls-like genre the From Software seems to stick to pretty heavily. Even like Armored Core kind of had a lot of those similar elements. But all right. Thank you guys for hanging out, watching this silly video. I don't know if this is something I'm going to keep doing, but like I said, I like yapping about games on the internet. I like making silly little videos for my channel. This obviously isn't marathon related, but you know, as we kind of wait for additional marathon stuff, I thought this might be fun. If you like it, let me know. If you don't want to see it, let me know. If you do like it and you have a name idea for what I could call this, leave that down below as well. I believe my first idea for a name when I was thinking about doing this was things I thought this week or something, or things I thought this week, and then I realized that it almost spelled titty, and I don't know. I don't think that acronym would go over well as a title. So, but yeah, I will see you guys next week. Bye.